assets in our current platform. It is both possible and necessary for our government to take back its special money creation privilege and spend this money into circulation. They want to take that out. And then the Monetary Authority will redefine bank lending rules and procedures to end the privilege banks now have to create money. And so they were taking all of that out, and they were substituting this. Government has been reluctant to use its fiscal powers. Our government retains its sole ability to create high-powered government money, reserves, currency, coins, and to deficit spend this money into circulation through fiscal policy. And then the new high-powered money, they also call it net financial assets, because as far as I can see, what they're saying is, well, deficit spending really, don't worry about deficit spending by the federal government, because look at all those bonds that are out there in the pockets of people. Those net financial assets, that's what they're saying.
Which people? They got right here.
Well, that's the question, but they don't talk about who owns those government bonds. Okay. We acknowledge while banks do create money, they do not have the capacity to create net financial assets at will like the federal government. Okay. Poor Albert. National debt is a part of the platform for national debt. So they're taking out, Greens will reduce the national debt. They take that out. They take out, we cannot ignore the consequence of our nation's past deficits and the related costs of debt service. This is in the Green platform. They want to take that out. Reduce our national debt by increasing taxes on large corporations, super rich, and pollution. They want to take that out. Presidents Bush and Obama have irresponsibly expanded our national debt by trillions of dollars to finance tax cuts for America's wealthiest citizens, war, corporate welfare, bailouts of Wall Street. They wanted that all taken out. And they wanted to substitute the idea that the national debt is a cumulative debt that all Americans together have to pay is not just untrue, it is highly misleading and dangerous. Any American who has bought treasury securities and bonds is holding that liability, which is an investment for them, a private surplus, though we may call it public debt. The federal government is the issuer of the currency and issues and spends into the economy for public purpose. Sounds great. And people who do not know the monetary system are very attracted to this. Albert is fighting his fingernails. And then the last one is, that I'm going to talk about is the preamble to the whole platform. MMT removes levels of federal revenue are the lowest they have been since 1950 because of tax cuts and breaks for the very rich and corporations. They take that out and they add, amend the following statements from the preamble to reflect the sovereign economics, they're using that word again, as they are, and to acknowledge again that these problems mostly stem from people in our government who are not willing to do what is needed to take care of the problems faced by the American people. Because Congress refuses to use its sovereign power to spend what is necessary to meet the challenges that face us. Some thoughts about all this. Americans are not taught how the monetary system works. MMT says monetary reform is not that hard. No structural changes are necessary, and people are attracted to that. They want to change it. They don't want to wait for the change, and MMT makes it sound fairly easy. You don't have, for one thing, this is not what they say, but you don't have to go up against banks, just the government. We need to keep speaking the truth of debt-free money and its history. Think about this. How does MMT compare to the themes of the lost science of money? the primary importance of the money power, nature of money purposely kept secret and confused, how a society defines money determines who controls the society, and the battle over the control of money has raged for millennia, public versus private. Now, this is probably the most very important, what's going to happen in the future in our party. So, it was very interesting during the discussion and debate over on the listserv with the National Committee. And one of the people who's an alternate to the National Committee is Rita Jacobs. She's from Michigan. And she's a retired lawyer. And she piped up on the listserv and she said, well, you know, 10 years ago I studied the monetary system, and I don't remember that much, but MMT, you're not making sense to me. And towards the end of this whole process, she called me and she said, you know, I just want to say, I think we need a new standing committee on the National Green Party for banking and monetary reform to explain to people in the party what this is all about. And she said, you know, I'm a retired lawyer. I'll look into the bylaws. I'll see how we have to do that. And she came up with the whole proposal. She wrote the whole proposal out. So we so far have gotten, what the process is, you have to get your state committee to propose it to the National Party. So we've gotten, Rita has gotten her state committee in Michigan. Howard has gotten his Tennessee State Party to send it the request. Kevin McCormick, who's a member of our website, Greens for Monetary Reform, has gotten Texas. And I'm going to be responsible. I haven't gotten New York yet because my New York Green Party leaders, we're in the middle of a very important election. And when the election is over, they want to, we put it on the state listserv and talk about it. But I'm not worried about it. I've gotten support before. And special thanks to Rita for coming up with the idea and spearheading it. And this is the nature of money purposely kept secret and confused. And that's what this attack is all about.
Wow. Sue's awesome as well, of course. And yeah, Sue really does stuff. She's an amazing force. So we're sort of into our lunch time, but we can maybe have a few questions now, or maybe we don't have because we were going to show the film from Iceland that we were going to show before, but we can do that tomorrow or sometime later when we've got a gap. So if there's any burning questions right now, or we can pick it up later on maybe.
I think if we're going to start with Wortman at 2, we
Oh,
better
yeah.
make
Yeah,
it
we better.
short.
Okay, make it short, yeah.
Quick questions? Mark?
How do I join the Green Party?
Yeah, I just had a general question. Why do you think during the 2016 election that Jill Stein did not, I guess, talk about monetary reform if she had the opportunity to doing television interviews and everything else? It seemed like it was ignored and it's on the national platform. That's curious to me.
Well, I've never talked to Jill about that, but I've talked to Howie Hawkins. He's running for governor of New York State right now. And I asked him, why isn't he talking about monetary reform? And he said to me, I can't explain it to the public. They don't know about it. So he can't use it in his, he's got a tough, we're trying to maintain ballot access. So he can't prioritize it as one of his major issues, he said. You know, but we can encourage Green Party candidates to step up and become candidates and talk about it. Like, I'm thinking about becoming a candidate just for that reason. That's a big step for me, just stepping out into the public arena like that. But ultimately, I'll probably do it. You know, I'll learn from it, and other people will learn from it.
I just wanted to comment on Jill Stein, and I may have mentioned this before in earlier presentations last year or the year before, that I was constantly after Jill to bring it up, and pretty much the same reason was used, that people didn't understand it. Well, I don't think she did either, but hopefully she's got it now.
How does it get on the platform?
Pardon?
I guess how does it get on the platform if nobody understands it? I don't know. That's odd.
We made good arguments.
Just a little comment on the MMT portion of the platform. You know, every really good lie demands a smidgen of truth. And every one of their points has a smidgen of truth in it, and then it's twisted.
Right. Yes, thank you for that.
Any more? Okay, I think we better break for lunch now because we want to be back here, please, at 5 minutes to 2, because we're hooking up with Edgar Wortman from Ansveld in the Netherlands, and he's also the, well, he says there is no leadership, but he's